Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the r/Kollywood podcast. We are on episode number 24, and today it's an FDFS pechu for the Mani Ratnam directorial Thug Life, starring Ulaganayagan Kamal Hassan, Athman SDR, and a bunch of other actors in it. I am Sieg, and I'm joined today by Hari and Dad, where we think through our experience watching this film and our initial non spoilery thoughts of this movie. Hello, guys, and welcome to the pod. So, guys, what are your initial thoughts about Thug Life? Where did you watch it? And, if you had to give a succinct summary of your experience, what was it? Hari, let's start with you.
Where do I start? எனக்கு I don't even know how to express my disappointment right now because I'm a huge Mani Ratnam fan. I'm a huge Kamal fan. I've grown up watching both of them, and I don't know. It feels like கூடயே சேர்ந்து ஒன்று வளர்ந்ததை it's like watching something crumble in front of your eyes, and it's honestly sad more than frustrating, rather than like how people are describing. um it was a packed theater. I was pretty excited. எவ்வளோ முடியுமோ அவ்வளோ I tried to keep out from the reading the subreddit, because I saw a few reviews, and honestly I was scared. I was really scared. You guys were absolutely shitting on the film, and I was like, oh my god, don't make me regret buying a ticket for a Mani Ratnam and a Kamal Hassan film. And I thought, okay, சரி போவோம், எவ்வளோ கேவலமாக இருக்க முடியும். It can't be that bad, இந்த லூசு பசங்கள்லாம் எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன் ஹையாக வச்சுன்னு போயிருப்பாங்க. So yeah, honestly it couldn't be that bad. So உள்ள போய் பார்த்தப்போ it was a packed theater. I was expecting like whistles, this, that, and what I got in return, um, I wanted to leave at the interval. If I left at the interval, I would be saying a very different experience right now. I think I would have given the film like 4 stars. And I'm quoting Dot Broad review, by the way, on Letterboxd. I would have given the film 4 stars if I left at the interval. Looking back now, I think I should have. Um, yeah, எப்படி எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணுறதுன்னு தெரியல. It's complete disappointment. If I, let alone Thug Life being a disappointment, I couldn't even tell if this was a Mani Ratnam film by the end.
Yeah, Hari, I think your sentiments are echoed by probably the majority of the audience going by online reviews and reactions on social media. This is a good segue to Dart, since you quoted his review. Dart, what did you think about the film and what was your experience like watching it?
Surprisingly, for Thug Life, unlike Retro, preview shows இருந்துச்சு. So I was able to go back to my routine of watching a first day first show. And theatre நல்ல கூட்டம், like that. It was pretty packed, and I was pretty excited about that. It was not just me, but a lot of people were expecting something from this combination of Mani Ratnam, Kamal Hassan, and A.R. Rahman coming back together. So yeah, when I walked out of the movie theater, I was a little upset that Tamil cinema again is following a tradition of giving a really killer first half and kind of not taking that story forward as much as it could be. But it was still an experience worth coming to the theaters for me, because if I had walked out right after the first half, I would be raving about Mani Ratnam, Kamal Hassan, and A.R. Rahman for the next few years, and looking forward to a second part, which I wish I really didn't see.
I think you both make a great point about this being a story of two halves. One half, the first one, which is probably not that bad, maybe even good, and the second, which was an absolute train wreck. See, I went to my first day first show at my local cinema, which was pretty late, if I were to be honest. So reviews லாம் பார்த்துட்டு தான் நான் போனேன். Okay, so I had my expectations tempered. I tried to stay away from spoilers, but just to baseline myself, I went with lower expectations, and the first half, was all right. I mean, I could identify multiple issues already 15 to 20 minutes into the story, but it was still fairly watchable, even if all the plot beats themselves were fairly predictable. But unfortunately, nothing kind of prepared me for what the second half was. It wasn't just bad filmmaking, it was amateurish. I can guarantee that recent graduates from film institutes will direct a more competently made second half than what Money and the team did, and technically as well, it just fell off a cliff big time. So, if I were to kind of summarize my experience in one word, I would say gutted. Gutted that, probably the last author that we have from the 90s generation or the millennial generation, or even Gen X for that matter, is also showing signs of becoming irrelevant, and gutted to see Kamal proving for the second time in a row that for whatever reason Vikram was an outlier and not the standard. Right. I guess this is a good time to kind of understand what worked and what didn't in this film. I guess a lot of things did not work for us, but there were some flashes of good cinema, even great cinema. So yeah, over to you, Dart. First, let's hear from you. What worked for you and what did not?
So this movie had a stellar star cast, right? It had Kamal Hassan, it had Simbu, it had Trisha, it had Ashok Selvan, it had Aishwarya Lakshmi, it had Nasser, and of course Jojo George. All of them had such meaty characters, and everybody performed to the highest level of what the story demanded, and that was just so nice to see on the big screen. And like I said, the star of this movie, honestly, is Ravi K. Chandran, man, the real thug. Like him and Mani Ratnam combined so well together, and we kind of missed this over all these years. What again worked, I feel Thug Life had a really strong storyline to it. It was just a little distracted because of a minor storyline which was brought in for convenience, and that kind of distracted me out of this movie, honestly. Yeah, so what didn't work for me in this movie, like I said, that small distraction of the side plot, which kind of messed up the core of the movie for me. Other than that, I felt Thug Life was didn't know how to use Unbeliever in a movie like this. I feel Unbeliever is meant for movies with Lokesh Kanagaraj with Anirudh. Talking of Anirudh, I mean, even though he didn't do a good job with Vidamuyarchi and the background score, I feel A.R. Rahman messed it up big time with the background score. Like for the classic album that he has given for ages, I'm a little disappointed with the background score.
Nice points, Dart. I mean, the bit on the background score is a huge mess on why this movie really, really fell flat, I think. I mean, to be fair, I think Rahman is not completely to be blamed for this. It's just the overall screenplay, the strange edit pattern. I think all of that fed into how the score got composed, but he does share a part of that blame. For me, I think what worked well was, I think the germ of an idea was actually pretty solid. I mean, the idea that you have this person who kind of is not very likable on the surface, like Rangaran Saktivel is very, he's no Velu Nayagar. I mean, you don't really build any empathy for him because he's a thug from the first frame that he's there on screen, right? And to see him potentially go through an arc of redemption, and in essence highlighting the futility of violence, which is, I think, what the story was supposed to be, going by Kamal and Mani's interviews. Kamal's interview in particular, I think there was a good, if not even great idea hidden there somewhere, but the execution was just all over the place. The star cast, I think they all had good characters in theory, but their utilization was subpar, if I were to be absolutely honest. Simbu, especially, I think his character had a lot of promise, but then you don't really understand very well what his motivations are. What is he as a person outside of what the plot requires him to be? And, even in the second half, I thought he genuinely checked out of the film, right? And of course, I do agree completely that Ravi K. Chandran was the real thug in this movie. And I don't know what's the deal with money and bad CGI. I mean, PS1 had that god awful CGI sea battle amidst imagery which were stellar. And once again in this film, the bit in the near the intermission and a bit into the second half, they look pretty rubbish from a CGI standpoint, even though Ravi K. Chandran's natural frames were quite great. Yeah, so those were the things that kind of worked for me and what didn't in the film. Hari, நீங்க சொல்லுங்க உங்களுக்கு என்ன thoughts?
The visuals. Let's start off with the visuals. I thought the visuals are actually great. They were absolute gold, and I think I just fell in love with every frame visually. And it was silent padama irundha. I don't know. I would have loved this film because the visuals they were amazing. And when you have a star like Kamal Hassan and he's performing his heart out, you just have to you have to do your assignment as a cinematographer correctly. And the cinematographer in this movie, he understood the assignment to the core. Like whenever Kamal got emotional, he made sure we got right close up, and we really got to feel the emotion in his eyes. And I thought that was beautiful. And I think he was only one of the few people that held this film up. I think A.R. Rahman's music as well, some places were great. I think the first time we hear Anjonna Puve was beautiful, and it was I didn't expect to hear it in his voice because I don't think I've heard the full song yet. The third thing, I think the only performance per se we got in this movie was by STR, and I'll say why it's not Kamal. I think STR did absolutely brilliant in this movie. It's not. I wouldn't. If you had a problem with the film, it's not him. I would say it's the space he was given to do whatever he had, and I think the space in which he was given to do whatever he had, he did it amazingly. And one more thing before I move on to the long list of stuff that I didn't like. I think I liked the opening 15-20 minutes, I think it was, of this film. Before the title appears, I think that set the tone for the film beautifully, and I was really locked. Where do I start? Long list of things எனக்கு பிடிக்கல. கொஞ்சம் ஏஆர் ரஹ்மான் மாதிரி பேச ட்ரை பண்ணுறேன். I'll try to keep it short as hell. I genuinely think that there's a good concept in this story, and there's genuinely a good stories that can be explored through this film. I think the main problem in this film is the execution and the writing. The execution in the writing, sorry. And that's where the main film falls off. We get introduced to these characters without full explanation. We get introduced to certain events, certain plot points without full explanation. They would have given like a voiceover context, or just like just context and dialogue, which I think is the most laziest way to transition to a plot point or a character in a film. I think it's one of the laziest ways. And I just want to say, like I've mentioned before, none of this film, sitting through these 2 hours, ever at one point do you go and say, yeah, this is complete Mani Ratnam. This is totally a Mani Ratnam thing. None of this movie feels like Mani Ratnam. Um, and that is my main big disappointment. It's that, okay, there's a few, without spoiling it again, there's a few callbacks to Nayagan and stuff, visually, or through the edit, but I feel like, you can't just give us a transition, like a transition that feels like a little amateurish right now. Fade ins, fade outs, and stuff like that. Like, okay, இவங்க 90s ஸ்டக் ஆயிருக்காங்கன்னு ஒன்று மட்டும் புரிஞ்சுது எனக்கு. But yeah, I think my second biggest problem was the fact that Mani Ratnam has introduced us to these many characters in the film, and not once do we ever get like a proper explanation to why they're here, what they're doing, where they came from. Like, I think it's all basic character writing and just finding out how to slip it into the story. But if the story itself is messed up, I guess you're gonna have messed up characters as well. Yeah, I just to name a few examples of my head: Trisha, Ashok Selvan, Aishwarya Lakshmi, all of these people, like Joju George, Bhagavati Perumal, all of these people, they had like great potential with their characters, and they had like a few great moments as well. There's a moment between Bhagavati Perumal and Joju George on the steps. They're talking about something, and I felt like that scene had so much potential. It had the potential to be explored even further on, and they just turned it into a caricature and a joke completely, if I'm being honest.
Really, really great points, guys. I mean, considering the ambition of this film and, Money having done fairly limited movies in the action drama genre, but trying to leave his stamp in all of them, I would, I think we all agree that, this one is a big disappointment. But where do you think this ranks in his filmography, particularly the action drama genre?
I think for a second, let's just forget Mani Ratnam's action dramas and look at his filmography as a whole. I think we all know how bad Cuddle was, and the stuff that it did to us. But I want to actually go ahead and say I think this is the worst Mani Ratnam film I've ever seen, just because it gives you that sort of identity crisis of even if you're even watching a Mani Ratnam film. And I think with Cuddle you didn't have that as much, but you could still see that he was trying to experiment with Cuddle, whereas with Thug Life you don't even know what he's trying to do here, and just where it all went wrong. So I would actually say that this is worse than Cuddle and put this at the very bottom.
I mean, I've been watching some of the past Maniratnam movies like Ravanan, Aidilithu, Chekka Savandavanam and all that. I honestly feel Maniratnam, even in those movies, the movies are not a lot action focused. They're a lot more drama focused. It's just they have a lot more action sequences. I feel Thug Life falls definitely in that category. Even though, like I said, the stunt pieces were kind of remarkable or unremarkable. There were like few scenes where it was good and few scenes where it was bad. It just didn't sit well in a Maniratnam movie, I felt. But I feel Thug Life would fall above all these movies, above Chekkasandavanam, above Kaatruvelidai, above Kadal, above Ravanan and all that. But it will definitely fall short of the classics in Alaipaide, Maunaragam Iruvar, or even Aidilthu. Of course, Kannathil Muttamital is on its own pedestal.
Okay, guys, so those were our thoughts on Thug Life in our FDFS non spoilery picture. Please do leave your comments about the film and your thoughts about Thug Life and or even our episode for that matter. Do check out our other episodes as well. We will be back very soon with episode number 25, which will be our Silver Jubilee episode, and we promise you it's a very interesting one. For those who watched our Kushi episode, they know what's coming, but keep an eye out, right? This is Seek signing off, but I'd like to leave Dart with the final word on Thug Life. Peace out, everyone.
So if you ask me for a verdict, I walked into the movie theaters today mainly because I wanted to see Vinvili Nayaga on screen, and I'm pretty disappointed I didn't get that from the movie. I think I'm gonna go back to listening to Shruti Hassan a little bit more before I go back to sleep, so that I can erase the memory of where Vinvili Nayaga was used in this movie.